Your Highness, you have long institutional memory of the country, and maybe you could just explain for our audience how we've progressed through the different phases in Iran and where, and I'd love your input on where we stand today, and do you think it's a unique moment in Iran's history?
First of all, I'm very happy to be here tonight. Thanks for inviting us and including us. My memories of how Iran was and how far women have gone, in contrast to where they are today, is mind-boggling. From Shirin Ebadi, Nobel Prize winner as a highest court judge in Iran, to Mahnaz Afkhami, who was a minister, to a time where, as I was finishing my Air Force training, I was supposed to go back to Iran. By then, we would have our first women fighter pilots in the Iranian Air Force serving. Look at where women are now under this regime. And because we had reached those potentials, when Iranian women earned the right to vote 8 years before the people in Switzerland did, the women in Switzerland did. And in contrast to what we have now, we can imagine the potential that yet again could exist in the future, but at the same time, how much we have learned in the process. And I think one of the biggest barriers to the advance of women, particularly in the Middle East and particularly in the Islamic world, was the factor of religion itself. And this regime, in the name of religion, started to antagonize women from the get-go. Today, the generation of Mahsa understand fully the importance of a secular future where religion is separated from state as a prerequisite to democracy in order to achieve true human rights at all levels. We are talking about ethnic rights, we're talking about sexual rights, LGBTQ community, for example, which has also been persecuted, religious persecution. Everything was tied to that. And even though 50 years ago, as I was growing up, maybe talking about religion might have been taboo, today is no longer the case. And that's a huge, huge development in terms of the political process of maturing in that sense and understanding the consequences of it and the importance of it. And therefore, in that sense, I think the future is extremely bright. And because this is truly, in my view, the first revolution of women in the whole world of its kind, it's led by women, but as Nازنین was saying, it's entirely backed by their fathers, their brothers, their sons. It is, therefore, a truly nation-grasping moment. And in that sense, you might have seen in the past 40 years various periods where Iranians were demonstrating or protesting, but this is truly different this time. This is truly do or die. We know that we have no option but to succeed, and this is why it is important for the world to understand how critical it is to be on the right side of history this time. Many movements in the world were unable to succeed peacefully without outside support. I remember talking to former President de Klerk and his experience during the negotiations with the ANC and with Nelson Mandela and what led ultimately to a solution. Or for that matter, what happened with Poland and Lech Walesa and the Solidarity movement. And I think there are many other examples that we could present of how important it is to have international support. And this is the reason Nازنین and I and many others have been on the road lately, talking to legislators, trying to, for the first time since they decided to finally talk to voices of the opposition, because until now the dialogue was limited only to the regime and its representatives. It's a good opportunity, and therefore we are utilizing it in our best possible way to inform the world, be the voice of our compatriots at home, who are often muzzled and unable to communicate directly. But ultimately, this is all with the idea of empowerment and bringing as much support as we can to our fellow compatriots back home.